Hey, welcome to Travels with Dottie. Somewhere along the way, I picked up a set of rules about getting older and retirement. It's not that anyone sat me down and explained them to me. I believe them anyway. That life gets smaller, that adventure winds down, that retirement is about routine, not expansion. And here's the thing. I don't remember agreeing to any of that, but I lived like it was true. And recently, I started noticing something that didn't fit those rules at all. So, some of the things that are rules that aren't really rules, but I believe them. No one really told me to shrink my life, but that's generally kind of the impression I get. Things get smaller and more narrow. You go to a retirement village and stay there, or worse yet, maybe a nursing home and just stay there. And there's the idea that stability is more important than adventuring or exploration. Um, and routine is valued. I mean, the whole idea of going to the such and such cafeteria at 4:30 for dinner every night and establishing this quote retirement routine that all seem to be part of some unspoken rules that were embedded in the back of my mind. And it's about winding down. I mean, you're before retirement, it's all about achieving, exploring, building, and then retirement comes and it's supposed to just gradually, it's less about exploring, it's less about expanding, it's contracting and sort of having those golden years downhill coasting until, the end. I don't remember agreeing to that. Do you? There's a contradiction. And I first started noticing it, and especially with that comment um, from that was on referred to me saying I used to see old people with canes a certain way, and I'd feel sorry for them. And now I find out when I'm here, that I totally missed it. I used a cane for a while before my hip replacement and after a little while for after my hip replacement. So I was one of those guys in Walmart with the cane, right? And you if you just judged me by that and my life on that, you'd feel sorry for me. But what you didn't know was I was having the very best time of my life. This was it. This is great. I never really understood that it could be that way. I thought the rule was all the exciting stuff happens and then you retire and you just kind of lay back and drift. But you know what? I know people here that I'm friends with in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and drum roll, 90s, doing what I'm doing right now. They're exploring, they're they've got their rigs and they're going camping and they're traveling over the country, seeing their grandkids and having a blast. That doesn't look like a life that's winding down and coasting at all. The only coasting they're doing is when the rig gets to the top of the mountain pass and you get to the other side, they get a few miles to kind of coast. That's the coasting I want to be doing in retirement. That's the only coasting I want to be doing. This whole thing with, well, retired people aren't supposed to do that. A good one that I think about is I started watching videos about expats. What are expats? People that live here and decide to spend their retirement years in a foreign country. They move from here. The Philippines, Thailand, Mexico, Panama, Ecuador, Greece. just the list of those destinations that are popular go on and on. And a big part of the appeal is, there's plenty of these places where if all you have is Social Security and it's $1,800 a month or something, you can live in some of those places on that. Full stop. And people are doing it. All you have to do you scratch the surface. If you type expat living in retirement into YouTube, you'll have enough videos to last for years watching them. There's so many of them out there. And well, people don't do that. Yeah, people do that. A lot of people do that. It is an option. There are more options for living in retirement than there ever ever was in my working life. I was stuck wherever my job was throughout my career, and I didn't have the options and choices that I have now. And new ones come up every day. And I'll give you one that just came up. I got off the phone 14 minutes ago with my high school buddy, Howie, who lives in Florida. And he has a camper too, but he's got a house and he just does occasional vacations in it. But it turns out he owns luxury RV properties in Florida, like 5 of them that are like $1,400 a month, which that's really expensive for an RV resort spot, but it's cheap when you compare it to any other place you're going to live. Where are you going to get an apartment for $1,400 a month? Tell me that. Much less a nice one in a resort that amenities like swimming pools and pickleball courts. Where are you going to live? You can't. So then I realized, wow, not that I'm going to do this tomorrow, but I could go live and rent one of Howie's properties in Florida and live there. They're 1-year leases. I could try it for a year or 2 years. Another option just opened up 20 minutes ago. Well, we got off the phone 20 minutes ago. This came up an hour ago. We're on the phone for a long time. Options, other options. Get this one. How about living on a cruise ship full time? Well, you can't afford to do that. That's not possible. That's not reasonable. That's too expensive. And then type in living full time on a cruise ship in YouTube and see what you get. Those those rules aren't rules. They're wrong. It's not true. I followed a guy that lived on cruise ships for a year, and he shared his exact budget, and it was low. This guy does not have much money, and he was able to do it, and he showed exactly how he did it. It takes some intention and some planning and some stuff on the internet to get the best deals, but he was living, memory serves, somewhere around $2,000 a month was what what it was costing him to live full time on cruise ships, and he was doing videos from them the whole time. And after a year, he got tired of doing that, and he's off to something else. Uh, pretty exciting stuff. And yes, you can do that. It's not just for wealthy people. It's not impractical. It can really work. I kept running into these things where people said, well, people don't do that. You can't do that. And I find out, yes, we can. Or more properly, yes, I can. Even this, my YouTube channel. Can some guy just traveling around in his little Winnebago Micro Mini when he retires have a YouTube channel and have it be successful and make any kind of meaningful money? Nah, that's too hard to do. That's not what the kids want on social media and YouTube. Wrong. I found out that was wrong too. At this point, I'm even considering, hey, I've cut back my counseling work to like half or 3/4 of a day a week, I could really cut that with as YouTube's becoming more and more successful for me. I might be able to eliminate most of that too. I mean, don't get it. Don't, don't misunderstand. I still like counseling, but I actually love YouTube more than I love counseling. It because it incorporates some of the things I do in counseling. I think I'm able um, to communicate some things that are helpful to people, especially when I talk about things that I've learned about myself and things that I've learned through clients. Things like this video where I'm sharing with you this sort of new thoughts that are coming to me, and maybe you share them too. It's the same sort of fulfillment, just not as direct. And I want to increase the feedback because I love the comment section. So I'm doing that. Uh, I'm going to start a membership on YouTube where people can pay a little something a month and then have that interactive session with me once a month where the comments aren't, you do a comment and I may say something about it in a comment video down the road. It's going to be real time. I'm going to be responding to all of them. That's another layer getting closer to direct communication, which gets the experience of being on YouTube closer to the parts I love about being a counselor. If I had to name some of the rules that I laugh at now that aren't real anymore, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Yes, you can. I'm doing it. Watch me. You can't have the best of both worlds. Yes, I can. I'm doing it. People don't do that. Yeah, maybe people don't do that, but Rob does that. And I'm starting to think a lot of those ideas and rules are just BS. I just never really questioned these things directly before. And now that I have, things are different. I'm rebelling. Those ideas about who you need to be and what you need to do and not do as you cross into retirement in your 60s, 70s, and 80s, the rules go out the window. And I realized it goes deeper than that. Here is a conversation I had with my Dr. Williams, a psychiatrist that I worked with before I retired. We spent a lot of time together and became pretty good friends. And uh, he's maybe 10, 15 years younger than I. And I mentioned him one day, well, at my age, I know I'm never going to get married. I'm never going to have kids. It's too late, but I'm okay with that. I didn't really intend my life to go that way, but this is the way they turned out. And I've accepted the fact that I'm never going to have kids. And he leans forward and he says, what do you mean? You could easily meet someone tomorrow that you fall in love with and you get married and they have already kids and built-in grandkids, and you could get to step in as a grandparent overnight. That could happen. And I went, whoa, I hadn't thought of that. That could happen. Because I established the rule, I established the box I was going to live in. I was never going to be a parent. And he so simply said, there's more than one way of being a parent. This still could happen for you. There's still plenty of time. And I'm like, that's great. It's not something I'm going to actively pursue, but the fact that it could happen, I sit up a little straighter. It's a little freeing. I feel a little lighter. Being a parent and having that role to whatever degree I thought had become impossible. Now it's not impossible. It's possible. Maybe not likely, but possible. That's a big difference. There's a big difference between impossible and possible. in all these ideas that I had, I swear these are not rules that people told me about that I read or they taught me in school. Somehow I just absorbed these rules without even thinking about it. And just as they soaked in, they got built into my brain as part of my operating system. But once you start seeing, or well, once I started seeing that there were rules that I was operating under that aren't valid, I that can't be unseen. So the more I think about it and talk about it like this, the more I question, is this really true? And then, well, now I'm thinking, if I've discovered all these things that are possible, what else is there right here, right now in my life that I thought was not possible that actually is? It's remarkable that the big picture thing is that retirement and RV life bound together have expanded the possibilities in my life to a degree that not only didn't I think was possible, but I never conceived of this possibility. I thought it was the purview of really like generationally wealthy people that could just do anything they want and anything was possible. And that was never going to be me. And then I discover I don't need the money to do that. You need some money. You don't need to be, I'm not wealthy. I'm just not. By any reasonable definition, I'm not wealthy. I don't know what this means yet, really. I'm not making some big declaration of I've discovered this huge thing, but it's a subtle sort of shift in the way I see my life. I just know that I'm less interested in following those rules that I somehow adopted. I never really agreed to them in the first place. And I'm starting to think and believe I don't have to. So that's going to be today's video. And I appreciate you coming along. I want to hear from you in the comments. I hope some of you will join the membership. I think I'm going to get that set up pretty soon. And I'll let you know how to get there. When am I going to see you again? I'm going to see you tomorrow.